In this video, we're going to talk about how to keep your sensitive data and secrets safe on AWS. The goal is to give you a clear picture of what encryption at rest, encryption in transit, and secret management mean in practice, so when you see these terms in the console or in a project, they feel simple and familiar. To start, let's get on the same page about what encryption actually is and what we mean when we talk about secrets in AWS. You can think of encryption as scrambling data so only someone with the right key can read it. Secrets are values like passwords or tokens that would let someone act as your systems if they got them. So when we say keeping secrets safe, we're talking about any information that would hurt your company or your customer if it was exposed. Customer records, payment details, internal username and passwords, API keys, and so on and so forth. On AWS, you'll see three big themes: encrypting data at rest, encrypting data in transit, storing secrets and parameters safely. So let's start with the first one, encryption at rest. Encryption at rest means protecting your data while it's sitting on a disk in a database or in object storage like S3. If someone somehow got access to that raw storage, they still shouldn't be able to read anything without the right encryption keys. On AWS, you'll commonly see encryption at rest in AWS S3, Amazon EBS, and Amazon RDS. Behind the scenes, AWS KMS, Key Management Service, often handles the encryption keys. It centralizes key management, access control, and auditing. So you get consistent encryption behavior without wiring together separate products. Let's take a closer look at it first on S3. On Amazon S3, since 2023, AWS enabled encryption at rest for all the new buckets by default. So when you create a new bucket, AWS automatically encrypts your objects on the server side using S3 managed keys. If you want more control, you can use your own KMS keys, and with KMS keys, you can decide who can use the key, log key usage, disable or rotate the key if needed. Alongside S3, there is Amazon Macie. Macie can scan your S3 buckets and look for sensitive data such as names, addresses, ID numbers, and other personal details. It's like an automated assistant that can say, hey, this bucket contains sensitive information. You might want to lock it down more. Let's take a look at the same scenario on EBS and RDS. EBS, or Elastic Block Store, is the storage behind the most EC2 instances, and when you encrypt an EBS volume, AWS uses KMS to handle the keys. You simply say, encrypt this volume using this KMS key, and AWS encrypts data as it's written, decrypts it when it's read, and logs the key usage as well. The same scenario applies with RDS, or Relational Database Service, as well. RDS also integrates with KMS. You can enable encryption at rest when you create databases and choose a KMS key. Now, one important detail is you can't turn on encryption directly on an existing unencrypted RDS instance or EBS volume. If your database or EBS volume wasn't encrypted from the start, usually take a snapshot out of it, create an encrypted copy of that, and restore it to a new instance. So for new production databases, it's best to decide about encryption right at the beginning. Now that we've covered on how AWS protects data while it's stored, let's talk about how it protects data while it's moving across the network. Encryption in transit protects your data while it's moving, from a browser to your web app, from one service to another, or between your on-prem network and AWS. If someone tries to sniff the network traffic, they should only see encrypted data and not readable contents. On AWS, you'll mostly think about traffic inside an Amazon VPC or traffic over the public internet using HTTPS and TLS certificates. Inside an Amazon VPC, traffic between resources uses AWS's internal networking. AWS encrypts traffic on the underlying links between data centers and infrastructure, so you don't usually need extra steps just for basic network encryption inside the VPC. But once traffic leaves AWS's internal network and goes over the public internet, for example, between a user's browser and your website, you want to use HTTPS and not plain HTTP. HTTPS relies on TLS, transport layer security to encrypt the connection, and that a small lock icon in your browser's address bar means that the site is using HTTPS or TLS. So data like login forms or payment info is encrypted while it travels. When hosting a web application on AWS, you typically use AWS Certificate Manager or ACM. ACM manages TLS certificates for your domain, and you can request a certificate. You have to prove that you own that domain first, and then once it's approved, attach the certificate to services like application load balancers, Amazon CloudFront distributions, or API gateway. So that fully covers encryption in transit and encryption at rest, but there's one more piece we need to look at, and that's how to handle the actual passwords, API keys, and other secrets your applications rely on. One important thing you definitely don't want to do is storing these values as a hard-coded value in your source code or sitting in plain text config files in your systems. Instead, AWS gives you two managed services to store and access them safely: AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store and AWS Secrets Manager. AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store is a simple, flexible way to keep configuration values and secrets. You can store things like database connection strings, feature flags, environment-specific settings, or passwords and tokens. Your applications can then fetch these values when they need them at runtime. For example, instead of putting a password directly in your code, you store it as a secure string parameter in Parameter Store. You give your EC2 instance, Lambda function, or container an IAM role that allows to read that parameter, and at runtime, the application called Parameter Store get the value and uses it without you hard coding the secret. You can organize parameters with names and paths like /dev/db/password or /prod/db/password. Parameter Store supports plain text parameters and encrypted parameters using KMS keys. For many apps, Parameter Store is enough, but if you need more advanced features like automatic password rotation or any other disciplined security best practices, you can use AWS Secrets Manager. AWS Secrets Manager is also used for storing secrets, but with more advanced features, especially around automatic rotation. You'd usually use Secrets Manager for high-value secrets such as database credentials, API keys, or third-party service tokens. A common pattern looks like your apps run on EC2, Lambda, or containers. It needs a database username and password. You store that username and password as a secret in Secrets Manager, and you use IAM roles so that only that application can read that secret. The big extra feature with Secret Manager is automatic rotation, that it can generate a new password, update the database with the new password, and update the stored secret in Secrets Manager, all in a schedule you define without you manually changing password yourself. It is also worth mentioning that Secrets Manager integrates nicely with services like RDS, and you can also build custom rotational logic for other types of secrets yourself. So to keep it simple, Parameter Store is ideal for configuration values and general secrets. You can encrypt it with KMS and it's accessed via IAM. Secrets Manager, on the other hand, designed for more sensitive secrets with automated rotations and a strong integration. Now, let's quickly bring everything together and have a quick summary of what we discussed. In terms of encryption at rest versus encryption in transit, encryption at rest protects your data where it is stored on S3, EBS, RDS, and similar services, and encryption in transit protects your data while it's moving over a network, usually with HTTPS and TLS. You have to remember that KMS is the central key management service, and services like S3, EBS, and RDS can use KMS keys, so you can centrally manage who can use each key and track how they're used. You can also consider Amazon Macie for sensitive data discovery and scanning, and Amazon Macie scans your S3 buckets, helps you discover sensitive data like personal information, PIIs, and pushes you to secure it properly. And in topic of Parameter Store versus Secrets Manager, Parameter store is ideal for configuration values, and secret that you can encrypt with KMS and it's accessed via IAM. And Secrets Manager is more focused on sensitive secrets with automatic rotations and built-in integrations. Okay, that is it for this video, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it and it will be beneficial for you. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel and I'll see you in the next video.